We're live. Yes, we are live. And I still haven't figured out my lighting situation, but that's okay. We're live. Katie's down there. Casey's over there. Jack's diagonal from me over there.
Jack, your hair looks fantastic.
Jack's hair looks fantastic.
Thanks.
Katie, your hair looks good. Casey, you're wearing a gas station shirt and you're probably not wearing pants.
I'm definitely not wearing pants. I'm in a hotel room in Chicago. I'm wearing the shirt from Fred's from the bar that we were at in Baton Rouge. And my ears have still not popped, which has never happened to me after a flight. So if I'm screaming, I feel like I can't hear a single thing. So I'm going deaf.
Very good. All right. Tell them about Unnecessary Roughness being sponsored by the good people at High Noon Hard Seltzer.
The good people at High Noon. So like I mentioned, we were in Baton Rouge. We've just gotten back to Chicago. And the people at Fred's, they were partying all day, and those high noons were flowing. Katie and Jack, as you can imagine, game day packs all over the place. We go a lot of different places for the Barstool College Football Show. Fred's is always popping. People love to party there, and the high noon was flowing. And I had my cranberry today, Katie. I had my cranberry. I was very excited, but I know that there's a new flavor coming soon. And I also was told the people in the office got to try it.
I heard whispers of a flavor. So I didn't see it myself, but
I heard it too. I didn't get to try it. I did not get to try it, but it was even brought up today when we were discussing High Noon just in the office, and people brought up the new flavor. There was a few people that said it was really, really good. So don't want to ruin it, but yeah, well, it's definitely a new flavor. They don't have this flavor yet.
No, they don't have it. And every time we talk about new flavors, I'm always like, okay, yeah, like I'll believe that when I see it. The fact that they're not only made and canned, they're being shipped to places and people that I would not have expected to be able to taste test them were. So the new flavor, everybody said that had tried it, said it shot up their rankings. High Noon, I don't know when it's going to come out, but it's coming out soon. HighNoonSpirits.com, Drizzly, liquor stores, convenience stores. Brandon, I want to applaud you. This is a big deal. And everybody needs to applaud Brandon. The sun was directly in this man's face. There was no, that sun was beating down hard, and he's here. He beat his migraine today, folks.
I beat my migraine. I don't know how. I've been taking magnesium tablets every day, and I've been hydrating better. So today, and I sat in the shade for pretty much 6 hours before the show. So I only sat in the sun during the show. So that is the update on my health. I am fine. I do not have a migraine or even a little bit of headache. So that's Brandon Walker 1, fucking sun 0.
Congratulations.
I beat the sun, the fucking sun.
You did.
Huge. I'm very impressed, and I believed in you when we talked about when we were gonna do the show on Saturday or on Wednesday. We were discussing, maybe on Sunday morning, this or that. And I said, no, we're going to do it Saturday night because I believe in Brandon Walker against the Sun. And that's a win, 1-0.
Yeah.
Since taking magnesium tablets.
Oh, okay, I'm about to say 1-0 there.
He's made some adjustments, Katie, adjustments to his game plan. And thus far, it seems to have worked.
That guy's right in the chat. It's not 1-0. It's 1-1. I tied the score.
It's a three-round fight, or it may be 5 rounds. Yeah. First round doesn't matter if you win the next 2.
It really just depends on how many college football shows we have on the road and how many of them are set in the sun. So stay tuned.
Are y'all ready?
We are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got plenty to talk to. Another big weekend of college football. I thought one game stood out above the rest, but certainly we had some contenders fall by the wayside. We had some early season stories fall by the wayside. We had some massive comebacks. We had a lot to talk about. I'm going to start out in Seattle, Washington, with not one contender, but 2. I think both Washington and Oregon came out of this looking fine. Washington wins the game 36, Oregon 33. A great game. I truly believe as we go forward in the season, only so many teams can be ranked in the top 10, but I truly think these are 2 of the 10 best teams in the country, no matter what happened on that field today, and both will still remain very much in the playoff picture, but Washington takes the first round 36-33, Casey.
Yeah, the game was phenomenal from start to finish. It was absolutely great entertainment, and the quarterback hype lived up to what we thought that it would. I mean, obviously, when you watched Michael Penix Jr. play that game today, you think, okay, that's the Heisman Trophy winner. At least that's, if we were voting today, that's who I would vote. Bo Nix had a hell of a game. Dan Lanning made some weird decisions. He took credibility for it after the game. Oh, go for it. Okay.
Dan Lanning is an aggressive coach. And in the world of college football, I think if you're playing not to lose, you're actually playing to lose. If you're coaching scared, then you're going to introduce the loss to the equation. To me, Dan Lanning, when he had the ball fourth and short there near midfield towards the end, he chose to try to win that game right then and there. He tried to be aggressive. And if you punt in that situation, you're kind of saying, Washington, here, you take it. I don't want it. And I think Washington's going to score anyway. So I don't mind that. I don't mind that take right there. I don't mind him going for it. Jack, or am I crazy?
No, I don't mind it either. It's one of those, you have to understand the process. The result obviously was not what they wanted. Maybe there should have been a better play called or whatnot, but he went for it. And when you want to win the game, you have to go out and you play to win the game. It's tough because I think it was the right call, at least statistically, analytically speaking. But looking back, maybe pinning them inside the 10 would have, they had to score a touchdown too.
I think they were scoring anyway, Jack. I truly think the way Penix was playing, I think they were scoring anyway. The way he did it, if you get that right there, the game is over and you have beaten them. Sometimes you got to take a chance. He took a chance. It bit him in the ass, okay. But I would rather have a coach that was on the sideline who believes we can go get it, who's aggressive, than one that just punts and says, I hope for the best. That's what I say.
And what did you think about them not taking the 3 points before halftime and going for the touchdown?
That was a little worse. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't really you don't know how games are going to play out. You don't know that you're going to lose by 3 points. But
yeah, exactly.
In a game like that, top tens, both, the margin is this thin. The margin between those two teams is razor thin. So when you can get points, you probably need to go get them. But again, aggressive guy being aggressive.
Yeah, if it was just that last play by itself, then because I do think he was putting his nuts on the table and he said, we're going to go out and win this game. And obviously it didn't work out. And in retrospect, if it would have, then we would have been praising him like, oh my God, look at this guy. Look at the balls that he has. But he, when in his press conference, he did mention multiple different things that he wished that he would have made different calls. Now, he did not lose that game. I'm not putting this on Dan Lanning, but to the point that you made about these being two top 10 teams, like even with some, whether you want to question them or not, decisions, and then the fact that the field goal kicker, he missed the kick at the end of the game. Like there was, even with those decisions, they still had an opportunity to tie. Like to see these two teams play again is what everybody wants to see. Like that is what we need to see, because that's how good that game was. Regardless of who was going to win, the outcome was going to be awesome.
And Dan Lanning, this is how he coaches all the time. Last year against Washington, he had a similar controversial play call. I think it was the only thing there you could have pointed out was I think the backup quarterback was in. I think Bo Nix was hurt, but if I recall correctly, there was a controversial call, not controversial call, but controversial decision that Dan Lanning made in that game. So if you want to give him credit, it's, hey, he sticks to his coaching philosophy, no matter the situation, whether it's Colorado or it's Washington in the biggest game of the season so far for him. So, I mean, I feel like, if you're an Oregon fan, you really like where you're at least from a Dan Lanning perspective. I think he's a very good coach.
No, I think you've got to be happy with where you're at. I think he's an outstanding coach. I think, Kalen DeBoer's doing his thing at Washington. I think everything is going good. Michael Penix. Listen, I just
Penix. What? That ain't his name.
Penix. What?
Did you see? Are you referencing the Desmond Howard thing?
What Desmond Howard thing?
He's saying Penix, and he says the big Penix energy over and over, and it does not sound like he's saying Penix. It sounds like he's saying penis.
I wasn't aware of it. No. Anyway, Michael Penix, I'll never. I guess you could say the same thing about Bo Nix. But I'll never understand how the Michael Penix, who is now the leader in the clubhouse for the Heisman, the guy who goes out and throws for 300 yards and 4 more touchdowns today, I'll never understand how that's the same guy that was at Indiana a couple years ago. But again, say the same thing for Bo Nix. I'll never understand how those two guys are the same guys they were.
I agree with you. And we were talking about that in the bus. And I don't remember who was saying it. Like, I can't believe that this is the same guy that was playing at Indiana. And it was like, well, he's not, like, he is physically the same human being, but like the setup that he has at Washington has obviously allowed him to be a different quarterback. Like, it's not like that talent was being showcased every single week. I don't know what it is, but if you're an Indiana fan, you have to hate yourself.
So last week we saw in the Big 12 the two best teams in the Big 12. And they played each other, and they played right down to the end, and one team won a very close game that came down to the very, 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 very end. And I think those two teams will play again in a few weeks to determine the Big 12 champion. I think the same thing has happened now in the Pac-12. USC we'll get to in a minute, but USC doesn't look like the top-line contender we all thought they would be coming into the season. There are some good second-line teams in the Pac-12, like Oregon State, like Utah, like maybe Arizona. By the way, let's get to Arizona later. But anyway, there's some good second-line teams. But at the very top of the Pac-12, to me, it's clear that 1 and 2 are Oregon, Washington, and I think we'll see these teams play again.
I agree, and I want to see those two teams
play.
But
now, I say that. I don't think it's a given that Washington goes 12-0 when they play again. I think Washington's got a lot of hay to put in the barn with their schedule, and Oregon does too. So the second half of the season will not be easy for these teams. I think the Big 12 is going to be easy. Oklahoma and Texas are going to just roll through the rest of the schedule and meet again. Washington and Oregon are going to have a lot more work to do. So I don't think it's a slam dunk as the Big 12.
I would agree with that. And we've also talked, regardless of what happened today, like there's still teams that are sitting out there that could potentially ruin, a perfect season. If like Washington goes up and plays somebody, like, would you, think they slip? However, if we sat here and said, who do we think the two best teams in the Pac-12 are? It's very clear now that it's Oregon and it's Washington. And I think anybody who watched that game would sign up for a rematch immediately.
If I were going to say a third team that could be in that mix with them, I think Oregon State's also really, really damn good. They slipped up already, but I would say Oregon State's really damn good too. Now, since we mentioned the Pac-12, the favorite coming in, USC, I believe, was the favorite. Oh boy.
Gross.
You ever think to yourself, you ever look in the mirror and say, God, I really am stupid? Like, yes. I came into today and for some reason my brain said, hey, I think USC can win it. But looking back, like, of course USC was going to get drilled by Notre Dame. Notre Dame goes on the road last week and loses to Louisville, who gets beat by Pitt tonight. And now they come home. Of course, this was a Notre Dame spot, you idiot. It was a Notre Dame spot all day long. And USC has shown you they haven't been very good this year. Why don't you believe them, you idiot? That's what I was saying to myself as I watched Notre Dame thrash USC. But, Casey, if I told you that Notre Dame beat USC 48-20, you would look at me and say, well, I told you the USC defense is garbage. No. That's not what happened at all. USC's defense was pretty good. It was Caleb Williams in the offense that blew it tonight as they lose 48-20.
We obviously have not seen Caleb Williams throw 3 interceptions in a game. I don't think he's ever done it, right? I think that was a bizarre first half for him, but it was so bizarre that it's like, what happened? Because we know how good he is. He won the Heisman Trophy last year. I have a theory. What?
I have a theory.
What's your theory? Please.
Today was the first really good defense he's ever faced in college.
So you think that this is actually Caleb Williams?
No. I just think this was a shock to his system. That's what I think. I think he finally showed that he's mortal and had a normal game. Let me go back. A couple of years ago, he's a true freshman, plays at Oklahoma. Big 12 plays no defense. They cruised it, whatever. Last year at USC, they played Notre Dame, yes, but they played a much different Notre Dame, a worse Notre Dame last year. Can you think of a defense he played last year that was just like lights out? I certainly can't. This Notre Dame defense is really fucking good, and this is the first time he's faced a defense this good, and it kind of got to him.
Utah's defense was pretty decent last year.
Yeah. And
That's a good counterpoint.
The
Good counterpoint.
2021 Oklahoma State defense was very good as well.
Another good counterpoint. So,
but I
it was
see
just
what
a theory.
No. You said theory. I'm not. This isn't a first take debate where it's like I'm smarter than you.
We're throwing theories out, buddy.
We're both in the YKB category, ball category. Like we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. USC struggled tonight. And it wasn't even, like you said, it wasn't their defense. It was really, I don't know if it was shocking, but it was, man, what a week for Oklahoma fans. They go out, they beat Texas, and then they have the greatest hype video the internet's ever seen, according to them. And then USC loses by 28 to their rival.
Bad.
Really, what a week for Oklahoma. They're up right now drinking whatever they're drinking, hopefully high noons, with a smile on their face, hopefully tuned in, just saying, I told you, Jack Mack. I told you, Brandon Walker. I told you, Casey. I told you, Katie Stats. And they did. I'm not saying this is just a small sample, but what a week for Oklahoma fans.
While you're technically right, they frothed at the mouth and went on and on and on about Lincoln Riley for a year and a damn half. Eventually, they were going to have to be right for a week. So I'll just slow down on that. Like last year, they were like, oh, Lincoln Riley, and they were just driving each other crazy. Like, oh my God, you're going to see, and finally, USC comes out and looks terrible, and they can say, oh look, I told you. No, you didn't. You were just hoping, okay? So I'm not giving them full credit.
Well, it is absolutely a perfect storm, though. Jack is right that it's their bye week, too, because it's not like they had to play anybody today or like, if they would have happened to lose today.
No, hold on. Oklahoma fans have 2 games every single week. It's Oklahoma's game, and it's whoever plays USC.
Which, by the way, it was the whole point, like, when I was in it with OU fans about that, it's like, if you want to care about Lincoln Riley, that's fine. But say that you care, because it's very clear that you care. And they're
obsessed with Lincoln Riley. They hang on the man's nutsack.
Here's the thing. What we saw from USC tonight, though, was very, very alarming. And if you're, we can say like, yeah, you might be right for a week. The problem is like you said, that if you would have told me Notre Dame won, then I would say, okay, Sam Hartman had a really good game. Notre Dame's offense looked really good. We know USC's defense is absolutely trash. The fact that, and I don't think that Caleb Williams is going to throw, 1 million interceptions every single week, but it is alarming to see that offense that does have, most people think the number 1 quarterback in the draft next year have the game that they did. Yeah, he's going to have shitty games, but we haven't seen him play like that. Like, that was shocking to me.
Yeah, it was shocking. Now, Notre Dame's got a good defense. It was also on the road. It was bad. Now, USC with 1 loss is not out of it. However, reality is that USC with 1 loss is out of it because they're not good enough. That's just the truth. If you lose one time, you're not out of it. But when you lose one time like that, and you look like USC has all year, you're pretty much out of it because they've been out of sync. This is the first time they've been offensively out of sync, but like their defense finally comes to play. Finally, 253 yards. Sam Hartman threw for 125. Audric Estime ran for like 95. Their defense came to play, and Caleb Williams never gave them a chance. It's one of the weirder results I've seen in a long time.
They were up 3 scores at one point with 130 yards of offense,
Insane.
Which is, I would assume, is not the correlation there is not very high. That's because the defense played so well. Also, Marcus Freeman, he wasn't on the hot seat or anything, but that was a big win. That was a big. He needed it, and I think you Notre Dame fans are probably sitting there right now, like, okay, this season is not going how we wanted it to. But that was a big response, and that's something you can build on, and you have the right guy in there. Because USC may not be very good, but they're still, we would all agree they're a top 25 team. That's still a big win. You whooped a team that has the number 1 quarterback in the country, weapons all over the field, and
you dominated the defending Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, I mean, and so Notre Dame fans, I think, are feeling pretty good. It's tough to feel really good because you compete for playoffs and whatnot when you're at Notre Dame, but that was a huge, huge response by them, especially after last week.
All right. Before I get to the last game that I'm going to pull out, and then I'll just hit all the takes, I got to tell you about my guys at cars.com, the leading digital marketplace to buy, sell, finance cars. Everything you can do to purchase a car, you can do it at cars.com. Your car says so much about you. Mine says I'm an awesome son of a gun. That's what mine says. I'm good looking. I'm handsome. I'm rich. I smell good. That's what my car says about me. Your car can say about you whatever you want it to say. So for your next possibility, go to cars.com. They have up to 50,000 cars uploaded every single day on cars.com, up to 2 million cars at any time. That means 2 million possibilities. Whoever you want to be in life, go to cars.com and find your next possibility. Cars.com, where to next?
The last time that I was looking at the cars.com app, I was with Jack and Katie, and I found a very nice Sprinter van. I believe it was a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van that we were going to take across the country to go to the Oregon-Washington game. Jack,
Yeah,
we didn't do it, obviously, because we were in Baton Rouge, but that Sprinter van is on deck if we need it.
And your son will be able to drive us because he's
Yes.
25 at this point.
Time's really flown.
Yep.
Really flown by.
Now, I'm going to talk to Jack for a minute, Casey and Katie, if y'all just don't mind me. Don't mind me.
Uh-oh.
So, Jack, hypothetically, if we were to come talk about coaches in football, we could talk about Dan Lanning and his choices today. We could talk about Lincoln Riley and the way his team played. But what if a coach were to blow a 29-0 halftime lead? What if a coach were to run the ball 20 times or run the ball 5 times and throw it 20 times in the second half while protecting a lead? What if a coach lost to a Stanford team that has shown they're one of the worst teams in the country? Jack, these are all hypotheticals. What would we do?
We'd probably put them in the loser of the week category, or embarrassment of the week, or something that really shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But hey, you have to remember, this is year one.
Yep.
This is year one.
Hypothetically, it's year one.
Hypothetically, this is year one. One win last year. Already 4x that. Hypothetically.
Yep.
And hypothetically, its expectations have already been exceeded.
They have. And you can't lose sight of that when talking about hypothetical teams. If a team hypothetically won one game last year and has 4 in the middle of October, that is a huge step up. So when you say it's a huge step up, you should be able to take that at face value and not get mad at somebody when they say, hey, pump the brakes and wait. Maybe they're not going to win 9 or 10 games. Maybe they're going to win 5 or 6 games. That's okay to think that. You're not a bad person if you think that. Casey, I don't know if you know, but we actually haven't been talking hypothetically for the last couple of minutes. We've actually been talking about the Colorado.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why you left Katie out of this. Like, I feel like I was the only one that should have been left out of that. I think Katie's on your side with this.
Yeah.
Well, hypothetically, it was just between me and Jack because hypothetically, we just be talking like that.
Okay, it was the boys. Yeah, no, the loss was terrible. And I see this guy, Justin, being like, oh, you're a casual. You didn't stay up for the game. First of all, I went to sleep at halftime because I have an infant son that I have to get up with, and we were traveling today. But, like, going to sleep at halftime for a 29-point lead, like, I guess if that makes me a casual because I had to get up early, I don't know. It's a shocking loss. It's horrible. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm sure everybody that's listening to this, whether it's live or not, is probably like, thank God we're not going to have to talk about Colorado. However, what I will say, and I tweeted this too, and of course it's going to get all the interaction, like, the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy. People are not apathetic to Colorado. People want to celebrate, whether it's because Dion was so loud or whatever. Like, people care so much about this, and that's fine. That's fine. But, like, the worst thing to have is being apathetic to a program, and no one's apathetic to Colorado. Brandon?
I just feel if you're going to go on the road and beat an Arizona State team by 3 and then go run up to the band and show your Rolex watch,
Correct.
That's going to draw a lot of attention when you inevitably lose the next week.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm saying that like they're like usually when schools lose the way that Colorado has been, and then whether it's Stanford or whatever, like we don't wake up the next day and everybody want to talk about it. Everybody woke up today and wanted to talk about it because it was a horrific loss. And I don't know what they do moving forward. I'm not saying you shouldn't celebrate it. I'm saying that like it's very obvious that people want to hate that program just like people want to love it. There's no excuse for that loss. Like I'm not going to sit here and try to explain that at all.
2 coaching decisions I'd like to talk about. Number 1, Travis Hunter hadn't played in a month. Should he have been playing every single snap as a receiver and a defensive back in his first game back? Was he exhausted by the end of that game? That's a question I have. I'm not making a statement. I really want to, like, that seemed like maybe he was pushed a little far. Is that fair?
Yeah. There's definitely like there was a narrative of like questions on Twitter about that as well. You're not the only one thinking that, because I do think that it was a bizarre thing to see. Yes.
And secondly, when you go to overtime, Dion taking the ball first in overtime it remains crazy. I've never seen a coach do it.
Yeah, it is weird.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he did it.
Yes, Jack.
He's done it twice now. This is really just.
Hey, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I'm sorry, Justin. Like this guy, Justin, I don't know who he is. Big Cat doesn't use his kids as an excuse. Big Cat, Dan also said he went to bed. Like what? Why is it? Am I the only one? Jack, congratulations. You were up all night. I applaud you. Most people went to bed at halftime. I don't know who this Justin guy is, but he's pissing me off.
Well, Casey, first of all, no, I didn't go to bed at halftime. Okay. I went to bed in the first quarter. So suck on that.
I
fell asleep with it on. I was in a hotel room. I fell asleep with it on and just kept waking up. And every time I would wake up, Stanford had scored again. I was like, wow. I don't think I ever saw them score. I just kept waking up to them scoring.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, hand up. But like when the entire world wakes up and it's like, oh my God, what did we miss? Jack Mack was the only one that saw the whole thing. Like that dude's just a fucking loser. Continue.
Yeah, Justin can go fuck himself. All right. So we'll transition into all the good I saw today. Katie, get ready. Katie, get ready. Get ready.
Katie.
Before we go into everything good that I saw today, Mizzou and Rutgers and North Carolina and Oklahoma State, all the teams that we're about to give the flowers to, let's give flowers to Shady Rays, okay? The Shady Rays, the best pair of sunglasses in the world. They look, they feel, they smell like designer sunglasses, $400 designer sunglasses. Guess what? They're not. They're not.
They are not.
They are made that well. They are sturdy like that. Perfect. They're great sunglasses, but they're for a fraction of the cost of your designer sunglasses. Shady Rays, some of the best out there, Casey.
Yeah, they're great. They also have a policy where if you get them and they don't look good on you for whatever reason, or you don't like the way that they fit your face, you can send them back and they will send you a new pair. That's huge because as we've known, sometimes you just don't look good in the same sunglasses somebody else does. Like if you put on my gigantic sunglasses, they might not look good on your face. Who knows? But Shady Rays can help you. And also they have the great polarized sunglasses, which Brandon, you need to get another pair of. I know you got yours stolen in Nebraska, but you need to get another polarized pair because we got to protect that brain of yours, buddy.
Somewhere in Nebraska, there's a 200-pound woman just walking around with my beautiful sunglasses. A wonderful, wonderful lady. But I want my glasses back. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code Roughness for 50% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Again, shadyrays.com. Use code Roughness for 50% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Check it out. Okay.
Katie.
So here, I've got about 10 teams written down that stood out to me on Saturday. We start with North Carolina. North Carolina came into this. Oh, look at that. All of a sudden, she's Miss Prim and Popper. Oh, hi. Oh, me?
Listening.
Okay. So, Katie, you said you weren't going to get excited until this week. If they beat North Carolina and if they look good doing it, or if they beat Miami and they look good doing it, then you'll get excited. So, 41-31. Drake May throws for 273, 4 touchdowns. Omarion Hampton runs for 197 yards and a touchdown. Are you excited now?
You're forgetting one stat line there.
What am I forgetting?
Tez Walker, 3 touchdowns.
Tez Walker in his first game, I believe, for North Carolina after that kerfuffle that the NCAA forced upon everybody. Katie, are you excited now?
Yes, I'm fully excited. Like I kind of almost NC on my shit list. Like I think he had a few snaps in Syracuse, but like are people like, oh, why is UNC freaking out over this guy? Who cares? It's just one player. Now do people get why? He's phenomenal. Him and Drake May together, great. The defense worked. Yes, I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm bought in. We're 6-0. I believe. Like, we're 6-0. You guys, piss poor teams, 6-0.
It's true.
What was that?
True.
You shit on me. I'm like fully flipped. You wanted me to be cocky about it? Ha, we're here.
Oh, I
Like,
can't.
I'm gonna shit on you.
Now, it took 15 seconds. Now I want North Carolina to lose so bad. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay. Yes, you're right. You're sharing a podcast with a bunch of losers right now, okay?
Facts.
So you get to be the winner.
Yeah, it's a rare W for me. I'll take it.
I would be the
somebody
exact
said-
same way,
Lori says,
Brady.
I'm
So
here
would
for
you.
cocky Katie. Yeah, no, I agree with that. What, Casey?
You would be the exact same way. If you were the only person on the podcast with a 6-0 team and everybody else had teams like we do, you would say the same shit.
I would be the most insufferable person on the internet. I already am, and my team stinks.
I already am too, and my team stinks.
Someone in the comment section was Brandon survived the sun and Katie is happy. Like hell is frozen over. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That is a good point.
This could be
It's a very
it.
good
You're right.
point.
Listen, I mean, North Carolina, me, Jack, and Katie, or one of y'all change your fucking name? Okay. Me, Jack, and Casey were on North Carolina weeks ago. Okay. So we've been on this train for a while.
That is true.
No, define on the train. You're like, they're good. You never were like.
No, I had an engineer hat and I've been driving. Jack's been shoveling coal into the engine, and Casey's been like back there riding it like it was a stagecoach, fanning herself.
I had someone text me that they took out a UNC future for the Natty today, and I nearly blocked them.
Okay, that's crazy. That's
you.
A little crazy.
I was like, can we win the games we're supposed to win, and then let's like baby steps.
I've looked at your schedule multiple times. I know you don't play Florida State in the regular season, right?
No, I think it's Virginia, Georgia Tech, who always gives us fits, Campbell, and then it goes, I think, Duke, Clemson, NC State. The last 3 are the
Well, NC State's garbage, but Duke is not, and Clemson is probably going to be pretty strong.
NC State is garbage, but it's a rivalry game, so
no, they're garbage. They're garbage.
Duke threw 4 completions today.
Duke's good though. Duke did that with a backup quarterback.
4 completions.
They won by 21 points.
But if you look at a stat sheet and just see 4 completions, you're like, oh, you got blown out. But they won 24-3. That's insane.
We got another team coming up that had a very similar stat line that's just going to be hilarious to talk about. All right.
Congratulations to Katie, though, because Katie, I know that we've been giving you a lot of shit, but in reality, like what Tez Walker did tonight, the whole world was paying attention to. Drake May looked phenomenal. You should be happy because the ACC is a crapshoot. Like, I mean, I Florida State, obviously, I still think is going to win the conference, but like North Carolina being right there in the way Louisville lost, the whole thing is phenomenal for you.
It's also nice, like the Tez Walker, in my head is like, okay, this is cool. But then I saw like national media people talking about it. Like, it's not just UNC excited.
Right.
The national talking heads were like, oh, this is why UNC is making such a big deal. Like, shame on the NCAA for keeping this guy from us for so long. So that was
1,000%.
Not to celebrate my victories, my frequent and often celebrated victories, but not to bemoan that point. But I was the only, this might be the first time I was ever the only guy in the country screaming for this team. I don't remember anybody screaming for Missouri except for me. I said they'd be 5-0 and then they lose to LSU. They go on the road to Kentucky, and Kentucky should be a little bit better than they showed tonight. But Missouri is now 6-1. They beat the dog shit out of Kentucky. I think they're headed towards a 9 or 10 win season. Luther Burden only had 2 catches. He's one of the best receivers in the country. Brady Cook can throw. Like, Missouri's a good team. And Casey, I saw it coming.
You did, and I was going to ask you this, and then I saw the chat. Thomas said it. Did Mizzou let you back on the bus? Because you did say you were getting
Whoa,
off the
whoa,
bus.
whoa. Mizzou ain't got a choice to let me back on the bus. I'm driving the bus.
Okay.
I said last week, I said, hey guys, I'm going to park. I'm going to step out, get some cigarettes. I'll be back with y'all soon. They don't have a choice. Missouri fans are passengers to me carrying them through the season. I've gotten them to 6-1. They haven't done shit to do it. I'm driving this bus.
So is it you or you think Drinkwitz? Who's
50-50. Me and old Eli, I call him Eli. Me and Eli are right there together, and we're he's in the passenger seat. He's eating bugles. He's eating beef jerky. We're on the road together. It's a road trip.
Okay, so it's 50-50, you and the head coach. No, I mean, you've definitely been right, and Missouri's been very, very impressive. And I don't think that they're going to win the East, but the fact that they are in the conversation, Missouri is even remotely a part of it, is really good for them. I mean, I think, when you talk about A&M and Missouri going into the SEC and who fits better, Missouri's had more success in the SEC than A&M, and they're showing it again. So, that is something to be very proud of. And that the East is also weird. Like, we've been talking about the SEC West all year and like who that's going to be, who's going to win that. And, is it going to be Alabama? Like, we know there's Georgia, but I don't know who the second best team in the SEC East is. And it could very well be Missouri.
No, it is Missouri. It's like Tennessee's okay. Joe Milton's not it, but Tennessee's okay. Florida's okay. I think Missouri is the second best team in the East. That's just what I think. Let's see. Jack, you had an interesting tweet about Rutgers this morning, didn't you?
I said they deserved better, and then they ended up winning the game. So, I mean,
so you were proven right.
All things considered, they deserved better, and they got better. It's like telling your friend you shouldn't be with this person or be with this friend. You should leave them get off the train. And then they did, and they went and they got better.
So
congratulations.
You single-handedly, in the course of a 3-hour game, got Rutgers fans out of a bad relationship and into a better one.
Yeah, and after that I said congrats. And then that's just, I don't know what else I was supposed to do. I said congrats, comma, Rutgers, exclamation point.
Classy.
And then they won after they won. Congratulations to Rutgers.
Rutgers was down 24-6. They had, I don't know if y'all saw this, that they had so many things go right, so many little mistakes that Michigan State made. Look, I'm not accusing them of it. I think Michigan State is confused. I think they're tanking for the number 1 pick. I think Michigan State believes if they lose bad enough, they're going to tank and they're going to get Caleb Williams next year. That's not how it works, but you can't convince me that's not how they think it works.
It was in a weekend where we saw some complete disasters. Michigan State losing was a complete and utter disaster. It was up there with what happened at Colorado. That was, I mean, a lot of things had to break right for Rutgers, but in Rutgers' defense, there was also some ridiculous calls against them. There was a targeting against them on a 4th and 1 that was just insane. And that's even you see, like I will admit things like that. As I said, they deserve better, they got better, and then I said congrats, and I went on with my day. That's all you can really do as a college football fan of the sport.
It's big of you, Jack. You congratulated them.
And I said I want them to get something better, so New York City will have a bigger college football presence.
You're doing it for the region.
That's why I was surprised they got freezing cold taked, because I was saying, though, they deserve better, and they got better. So
I still think the guy behind freezing cold takes probably regrets every single day ever starting that Twitter account. I'm sure it's made him a lot of money. Hell, I'm looking at a book right now that he actually wrote. So it's sitting down here. I've been reading it. But anyway, I'm sure it's made him a lot of money, but he cannot function on Twitter on a Saturday without every idiot tagging him in the world with every opinion that's ever been said. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Hey, freezing cold takes. Hey, come over here. Come over here, freezing cold takes. He doesn't need your help.
I think he low key is kind of realizes that it's just a little not that it's silly what he does, but he's like, yeah, people like us, we get paid to have opinions, and then here's the thing, guys, a lot of those opinions are wrong, but people love it for whatever reason. They love to see somebody wrong. They just love it. They eat it up.
They eat it up. I mean, to the point where, and we talked about it again today on the show. I mean, OU led with Brandon from this podcast on a Zoom. It looked like he was recording on a potato, and they led with it. That's how much they love people being wrong.
Well, they recognize the biggest star in college football. I should
have known better.
As somebody who's been up against Oklahoma, I recognize somebody in their department knows what a star is, and they knew who to lead with. So there it is. Okay, more good. Speaking of Oklahoma State. Jack, I think I personally had done it. I had Oklahoma State given up for dead. I was done. I thought Gundy was I thought it was stale, day old bread. I thought it just wasn't working anymore, and something needed to change. All of a sudden, you look up, they beat Kansas. They had a big win last week. Now they beat Kansas today. Kansas falls to 5-2 or whatever they are now, and Oklahoma State suddenly has a pulse. They have life again.
No, I was going to bring this up when we were discussing. Sorry, I thought I heard an echo there for a second. When we were discussing winners and losers, I thought a winner of the week, without a doubt, is Gundy and Oklahoma State. It seemed like they were dead and out, and they put together a great win today against a ranked Kansas, which is not always something that happens. But great job righting the ship, and that goes to show why Mike Gundy is Mike Gundy, and it is a very good coach. That's where it shines in moments like this. So, and an Oklahoma State fan DM me and said, apologize. And here I am saying, no,
you're not going to apologize. That stupid bitch DM me too. We're never going to apologize for an opinion about a coach. Like, if we get proven wrong, sure. I'm sorry. I thought Mike Gundy lost a couple of games. Shut the fuck up, whiny bitch. What was his name? He DM'd me too. Like, apologize for doubting Mike Gundy. Motherfucker, go to every Oklahoma State message board over the last 2 weeks and see if you guys were doubting Mike Gundy. Idiot.
It's also just like the apology.
Zach Lang?
Time out. Hold on.
Apologizing has lost its luster. Like, to say apologize for an incorrect thing, it's like, you don't actually want me to apologize. You just want me to say I'm wrong.
Zach Lang.
Yep. And did he
apologize for writing off Gundy?
Wait, Is that on Twitter or Instagram?
Twitter.
Oh, my Twitter DMs are closed. Damn.
He said, apologize for writing Gundy off. ! To be honest, though, among the DMs I've gotten today, that was low-key the nicest. I've gotten, man.
Oh, my Saturday DMs are always a train wreck.
Fat boy, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, sorry I said that. I was tired.
Oh, that was actually, that was your burner, your Tyrese Maxey Rutgers burner.
Yes, correct. That's exactly what it was.
All right. Shout out to Zach Lang, though. Low-key nice, just saying, apologize for writing Gundy off. That's it. That could be worse.
Now, if I were going to apologize to a coach for being wrong, I would apologize to Billy Napier in Florida, but I'm not going to because I'm not a pussy. So, for this week, Billy Napier, Florida's weird as fuck. Florida will beat Tennessee at home, and you think, oh, okay, turning a corner. And then they'll go get their doors blown off by Kentucky. Oh, same old Florida. And then they'll go to South Carolina, and they'll win by 2 points, 41-39. Graham Mertz throws for 420 yards and 3 touchdowns. Graham fucking Mertz? What the fuck is going on in college football? That's what's happening now? Graham Mertz is throwing for 400 yards?
And then Shane Beamer after the game is blaming everybody except for himself. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Florida. And I get myself in the same trap, Brandon, because I want to talk shit about Billy Napier sometimes because that's what I started with. And then they go and do these things, and I don't know what to do. The SEC as a whole, outside of, we know Alabama is very good, but Georgia, it's like, who is really, really good? Is Florida good? Are they good?
Is the bloom off the rose for Shane Beamer over there in South Carolina?
It has to be.
Guys, Graham Mertz went in during, wait for it, Cocktober, and outplayed Spencer Rattler in Columbia during Cocktober. I don't know if you knew this. It was Cocktober, and they were up, I think, 2 scores.
Jack, I saw on Twitter before this game that this was actually Cocktober.
Cocktober, and
Yeah.
wait, Brandon, has South Carolina been above 500 at any point this year? He's going to go run the numbers.
What's happening? What
Jack?
is he?
I'll be goddamn. I don't think they have.
They have
You're so
not
dramatic.
been above 500. And hey, as a YKB guy, I just need to remind everyone they have not been.
The
above.
YKB boys are on one tonight because
YKB boys are going crazy right now.
I don't know if you remember, Jack. I don't know if you remember. I'm just going to refresh. But back in August and July, I said, boy, you know what? I look at the South Carolina schedule. I don't think they're ever going to be above 500 one time. Oh, the Cox went crazy. Oh, they went crazy up in here. Oh my God, you're an asshole. You don't know ball. You don't know. They were putting my name on the marquee at a South Carolina fucking theater. They had my name on a goddamn South Carolina theater. Brandon Walker doesn't know ball. Well, guess what? What are we? The YKB boys?
YKB boys, we up.
The YKB boys don't give a fuck. We remember that shit. And South Carolina, I don't think you got a coach. Sorry.
I don't know what pose that you did to prove that, but if we ever talk about South Carolina and Jack doesn't say Cocktober and you don't make that pose, like, we're not doing the podcast justice. Like, that's now whatever we've ever thought about South Carolina before, whatever we'll think about them moving forward, it's Cocktober and Brandon's slut pose.
So you ever seen the Seinfeld George Costanza like oil painting where he's posing for it?
Oh, yeah.
I was doing that. I don't know why. But in my mind, it was time for my close-up, and I was going to do the George Costanza.
That's the Cocktober pose.
Yeah, that's my Cocktober pose. Listen, Casey, to be honest, I can't be held responsible for what I do in Cocktober.
You can't. I mean, the cocks get loose in Cocktober.
Cocktober goes crazy, Jack.
That I heard that Florida, I was supposed to say sorry or keep Florida in my thoughts and prayers, not because they have anything wrong with them, but because they got to go up against Cocktober this Saturday. And Graham Mertz went up there and played like it was a Friday night during COVID against Illinois. 4 touchdowns, 450 yards.
And he did that in Cocktober.
You know, Graham Mertz said, I'm going to slap my on Cocktober.
Oh, boy.
What month is it?
It's Cocktober.
Cocktober.
Right.
Congratulations, South Carolina, Florida. Shane Beamer's got to get a PR guy in there, somebody to teach him how to handle post-game press conferences after a loss. Because I know what he was saying when he was talking about it. He said, we didn't execute this, that, or the other. But it sure came across like he was blaming everybody but himself. Now, I know he wasn't, but it seemed like it. And somebody's got to say, hey, we did not execute on these plays well enough, and I have to be better, and then we'll be. Instead, he goes, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. And he's always just, man,
he's
tough.
He's goofy with a mic in front of his face. It's like when he went to halftime at Georgia and they were winning by 14 points. Hey, we played well. That's all you got to say. You don't say, well, we're kicking their butts out there, because that's when you look stupid at the end. Okay. Numbers are fun, and we joke and we laugh. Guys, y'all realize Iowa's going to go 11-1?
Yep.
And they're going to win the Big Ten West.
They
can't throw a forward pass, and they're going to have to fire their offensive coordinator because he can't score. Like, Iowa's one of the weirdest stories in all of sports right now. They win 15-6 today, which is the most Big Ten West Iowa fuckathon score I've ever seen in my life. Like, I can't imagine watching Iowa play football, but Iowa wins 15-6. They had 37 passing yards, and they're the class of the Big Ten West.
I mean, we always talk about like, what's Iowa going to do? Are they going to fire everybody and start over? But it's like, do you fire a coaching staff if you win your division?
In
Like,
October?
October. Like it's 37 passing yards, but then you look and you say they're going to go 11-1 and go to Indy to play, whoever comes out of the Big Ten East. It's like, you can't fire a coach for that.
Right. Like you go 11-1 and they win the division. It's crazy. Like they did have a running back, Williams, who ran for like 170 today. Like he was very, very good. And they are on their backup quarterback, Deacon Hill, which is a terrific name. Sounds like somewhere a high school team would play. But I look at Iowa, and Wisconsin to me is a disappointment, but it's not really fair, right? Like this is his first year, and we looked at their schedule and what they had coming in, and we thought, oh, well, they'll just be really good. And that's not really fair to Luke Fickell at all. But anyway, Iowa, man. Iowa. Somebody says Hawktober. I'll never say that again. We're not making that a thing, Iowa fans, you pieces of shit. All right.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, regardless, and I assume that we all believe this, that whoever comes out of the Big Ten West is just like a sitting duck for Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State.
Well, I
right?
mean, Iowa's already, they got one loss, and that was 31-0 to Penn State. And I think Penn State was nice to make it 31. So, yeah, I think we all agree. We all know where it's going, but we always do with Iowa, and it's like a train wreck. It's still going to happen. You just kind of got to look at it sometimes. You know who's good? Anybody know who's good?
Arizona.
Goddamn. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Was it the way I held my cards? How'd you know that?
You mentioned it earlier, and I just want to make sure we talk about them.
Okay. Arizona has 3 losses this season. They lost by 2 in overtime to USC. They lost by 7 to Washington. And they lost in overtime to one of the best teams in the country, Mississippi State, on the road. Arizona's good. And when Jay DeLoria went out, people thought, oh, this team's not going to – oh, no. This Fafita that came in, the backup quarterback, he's better than DeLoria. He's good. Jedd Fisch is good. Arizona is good. They beat Washington State 44-6. Now, Washington State kind of disappointing after starting off hot. But, Jack, Arizona ain't bad.
What a performance. I would say this is probably the best performance over expectation this week. I mean, they just destroyed them. I remember looking at the score at one point. It's like, oh, man, Arizona's playing well. And then I said, oh, wow, they destroyed them. Mm-hmm. Big win. And I know Arizona fans lost a recruit this week, a 5-star, but they bounced back. And I don't think Jedd Fisch probably doesn't get enough credit. I would say we have given him some credit, but he's really rebuilt an Arizona program that was, I mean, the Kevin Summerlin era did not end well. The Rich Rod, right? Rich.
Yeah.
Did not end well either. Like this is Jedd Fisch has done a great job in a state that doesn't have elite talent. It's not depleted. But Arizona State definitely had the upper hand on them, and Arizona's kind of taken it back. Not that Kenny Dillingham can't do that, but yeah, especially as they go into the Big 12, you got to feel good with Jedd Fisch. Somebody may pick him off, but he's one of the best coaches in college football right now.
Yeah, I think that when we talk about the Pac-12 and like who's going to like mess things up for certain teams or whatever, like Arizona could definitely be in that category. And I know that, like, I mean, 2 years ago, they only won like 1 or 2 games. Like all my seasons are running together, but like, this is awesome for Arizona. But it's just, again, I know Jack disagrees. The Pac-12 being dismantled, it does suck. Cause it's like, I want to see all this play out. I want to see how this all actually like would come to fruition in the Pac-12, but we're not going to get to see that.
Arizona just doesn't have, I mean, I guess their game against Oregon State will be a big one, but their chance was definitely against Washington 2 weeks ago, and they just
and USC.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, you got to be feeling good if you're an Arizona fan.
Duke is now 5-1. Duke destroys NC State with a backup quarterback. Shout out to them. Oregon State beats UCLA. Oregon State, I think, is right there. They're going to have a lot to say about who wins the Pac-12. So shout out to them. Jaden Daniels continues to be amazing. Jaden Daniels with over 300 passing yards, 95 rushing yards, I think, had over 400 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, he's not going to win the Heisman because LSU's already lost twice and they're kind of out of it a little bit. But I think he's amazing and has had an amazing year.
I mean, didn't he?
Go ahead.
Did he not win the Offensive Player of the Year last year in the SEC? I feel like he did. Maybe I'm misremembering. I would assume that's his.
Bennett win it?
I guess we'll look it up. But that being said, he's probably the top of the top right now, except for whatever his name. I forgot Schrader's first name on.
Hendon Hooker.
Hendon won it. Yep, of course. Sorry.
Did you see that? All she did was this, and I knew it. Me and Katie are right here.
But
we lock in on Cocktober, man. We lock in. What do you do? You're the one that just did this.
I did the fingers up.
You did this.
No, I did this. Trust me, I'm
So,
very.
Brandon, you've been spending too much time with spiders. What you've been doing?
yes.
Our entire flight on the way back from Baton Rouge today, Spider was
on
practicing for Cocktober.
Yeah, I saw the Hooters commercial with him. I was like, oh, he had fun at Hooters.
All right. Now we got some bad. I got some bad teams. I got some teams that
Before
bad.
I want to tell you one more good thing.
Please do.
Tell us, Jack.
That's Ultimate Pro Football GM. Imagine you're a GM for a football team. That's right.
I'd like that.
A football team, and you would make decisions, right? I've thought about it a billion times in my life. What would I do with this team? What would I do with that team? How would I change this around? How long would it take me to turn this franchise around? Well, guess what? Ultimate Pro Football GM will allow you to do that in a great new app that you can find at barstoolgm.com. That's right. In Ultimate Pro Football GM, prove your skills in managing a pro football team. The game has a realistic feel, draft, trade, and manage every strategic decision. The game is fun, addicting, and easy to learn. It's a mobile game. You can go to barstoolgm.com or look up Ultimate Pro Football GM on the App Store. Use code BARSTOOL, all caps, in the game store for a free 100% boost to your franchise once you start it. There's also a nice little way where you can go into the app and you can import some teams that are the actual teams from the actual league that theoretically, I'm not going to say they're named, but there's actually a league with 32 teams, and there's also a college option if you find a way to download the team. So look that up too. Make it a little bit more fun for yourself. You can be GM of a college team. It's a lot of fun. Download the app today, and you can find it on the App Store, barstoolgm.com. Get playing today. Start your franchise today.
All right. Here's the bad that I saw today. First of all, the early window of games was garbage. It was terrible. This day didn't start until like 2:30. I mean, I don't know if y'all were up and paying attention. I hope you were. I'm sure you were. The early slate of games had really good teams playing some really shitty games. Like Georgia slept walk against Vanderbilt. You had Iowa State and Cincinnati. Alabama slept walk against Arkansas. You got Florida State thrashing Syracuse. You got the Rutgers comeback, which I guess was interesting. Ohio State kills poor Purdue 41-7. Michigan beats Indiana 52-7. It was the first 3 hours of this day were just, all right, well, when does the actual college football start? Because I'm just watching these teams dick around.
Yeah, it was a slow start to the morning, which, I mean, the Oregon-Washington game that we've talked about a million times, way over-delivered on it. Like, it was like almost kind of just like warming us up for it. And I'm selfish here, Brandon, but I like when the morning slates are a little bit slower when we're traveling because I don't feel like I'm missing near as much. Like, I liked that we were on the ground for Oregon, Washington, but these top teams, like, that's why I like getting, I'm every year, you don't want to wish the season away, but I'm ready to start seeing these teams really get into like the bulk of it. Okay. Like, I want to know who the best teams in the country really are. And until we have the 12-team playoff, we're not going to get to see it all play out on the field. So we need to see these teams play real games every single week.
I missed a good. I didn't write it down, but something reminded me of it. How about Houston hitting a Hail Mary the other night to beat West Virginia?
Yeah.
Just one of those reminders of, hey, college football is fucking crazy. Like West Virginia hits a big one to take the lead. They're going to be 5-1. Everybody's happy. And nope, Houston hits a 50-yard Hail Mary, and that's why you love the sport. All right, more bad. Maryland? You go to Ohio State, you're leading at the half, or you're playing well for a half. You start 5-0. You get right to the cusp of being ranked, and you're not, but you perform pretty well against Ohio State, and then you come home and you lose to Illinois. We're losing to Illinois. That's what we're doing in Maryland. Crab cakes, football, and losing to Illinois. That's what we do in Maryland. That's pretty stupid. I wouldn't do
Maryland does.
I listen, right when everybody wants to believe in Maryland, right when everybody wants to get on board, like, okay, Luxley's doing some things, Talia, everything's great. They lose to Illinois.
That's a very
Go ahead.
Maryland thing that happens every year. They start 4-0 and then they get reminded. There's another team down south that may be in your bad section that does that as well. Oh my God, Colorado State just hit a Hail Mary, I guess. Wow. 2 Hail Marys in 1 week. That's crazy. Colorado State was down 30-10 and they got in, they scored a touchdown. They got the onside kick. They scored another touchdown, got the onside kick, punted it away, or didn't get it the 4th down, and then got the ball back with 30 seconds left, and they just won. Plays under review, though.
Does it look close?
Well, tied. If it stands, it'll be overtime, tied at 30.
No. They'll kick it. Right?
All right. Louisville. And this is another one where I just look myself in the mirror and say, obviously, this was a spot where Pitt was going to win. I think I might have put Louisville on upset alert the other night. I don't know. But Louisville beats Notre Dame. They got their stadium going crazy last week. We all saw it on national TV. Everything's happy and fun and joy. And then they go lose to a bad Pitt team.
Bad.
Gross. We were just discussing the other day what happens if 3 teams in the ACC go undefeated. Well, we'll never know because that ain't going to happen.
Because
Louisville fucked it up for everybody.
I just knew Pitt was going to knock somebody off like this. It's just what they do. They find a way. You think they're awful, then they're not. They just.
And Big Cat said this. It wasn't me. We were talking on the plane. It was like, this is an Narduzzi special. Like they're bad. They suck. They take a bye week and they come back and they knock somebody off. And that makes a lot of sense. Casey? It's that time of week. I'm just going to say it like this. For the resources, for the money, for the passion, for us all having to sit through those stupid-ass Yell Leader videos, Texas A&M deserves better than what Jimbo is giving y'all. And to me, Casey, it's not that you guys lost to Tennessee or that you're losing. It's the goddamn boring-ass, pathetic way you play offense. You've got 5 stars everywhere on offense with receivers and running backs, and I know you got a backup quarterback, but you just play gross-ass football, and for $75 million, at least entertain me. That's what I'm saying.
First of all, it's $90 million, so make sure you get that right. It's $75 million, like, guaranteed now. So
sure,
please,
$90 million then.
I believe it ended up being around 90. Honestly, you know, we talked about this earlier with like the love and hate and apathy. Like, it makes me sad that I am so apathetic now when I start to see these things happen. I'm like, yeah, until Jimbo Fisher is gone, this is what's going to keep happening. And I'm going to get ramped up, which is not apathetic at all. But like, I said it after the Alabama loss, and I said that he makes these decisions. And yes, of course, you know, he didn't go out there and allow Jalen Milroe to gash up the secondary. He didn't do, you know, he wasn't playing offensive line. Fine. But he makes decisions that you do not make when you're paid that much money with all the talent that you have. And you said it earlier about Dan Lanning when you said, you know, he plays to win, not just to not lose a game. Jimbo Fisher plays scared, shitless football. That's what he does. It's like he's scared to go out there with all the talent that he's been able to amass and actually play a football game the way that he needs to. And it's just, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, because then you get the haters being like, well, what does A&M expect? Like, they've always been mid. Okay, fine. But Jimbo Fisher he is not working. It's year 6. It is year 6. And I saw somebody tweet this. You remember when the rumors happened that LSU was going to go out and get him before they hired Brian Kelly?
Sure.
One of my friends from A&M was like, hypothetically, what if we would have just let LSU take our toy and run and like hired from within, like, I don't know, Mike Elko? Like, these are the things now that A&M fans are questioning. And it's like, welcome, everybody. Welcome. The guy needs to fucking go.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
Colorado
And
State
by the
is
way,
one-
Texas oil money, that ain't nothing. Buy him out. Find somebody else. Like, just wipe it clean. Like, this is disgusting to watch.
So Colorado State review came in fine.
They
and
won,
They,
and
they won the game, right?
Yeah. It's a long shot. What's the odds we wake up tomorrow or the next 24 hours and Jimbo's gone?
15%.
I don't think it's very high. I think we'll see, but I doesn't feel like they're close to firing him, because they're going to have to like put a lot of pieces on the chess. They're going to move some pieces on the chessboard to get him out of
Yeah,
there.
maybe they're making some calls right now.
Yeah, I think you're going to hear about it for like 2 weeks before they finally do it.
But
Yeah,
imagine,
and also to like the chat saying that A&M boosters are not going to pay him out. Yes, A&M boosters will pay him out, because A&M is, and it's not just A&M schools that have that much money. Like, I don't know why it's taken so long to get on board with this, but like, this is not what they gave the man a national championship trophy with an empty plaque on it. That's what they expected. They expected to be competing for the SEC, competing at least for the SEC West. And he's now it's 8 games in a row he's lost on the road. Like, it's gotten worse and worse since they almost made the playoff in 2020 in a COVID year that doesn't count. Like, it's just fucking terrible.
I can imagine though, Texas A&M is, of the jobs that might remotely open, that's got to be the number one job, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
They have
100%.
everything. I mean, I understand it's like, whatever. You're right. Me trying to say that I'm apathetic to anything is crazy, because I'm not. This man has got to go.
I mean, the good news is, as a fan of a school like that, Casey, it's probably a top 15 job in America, top 20. You'll get probably a good coach, theoretically.
For sure. But the problem is now is that like the biggest thing that A&M had in the state, right, was being in the SEC and being the only team in the state in the SEC. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't matter. Like, Texas coming in, it's not going to like shoot A&M down. But now you've got to go out and recruit. Jimbo can recruit. He just can't do shit with them once they get there. I can't. Fire the fucking man, okay? Just fire him. Fire him.
BSS 360 says something interesting. He says you can't fire someone without having a name to replace him. Who's that next guy? Yeah, you can. You can all the time. You can do that. In fact, you can almost exclusively do that. You can fire the guy and then go looking, because I do think coaches will line up for A&M. Like, Elko would come home tonight. He would come to A&M tonight to coach that team for the rest of the season. You could get Jonathan Smith or the Washington State guy, which that might be a little lower than A&M's going to end up going. You could talk to Dion. There'd be a million possibilities for A&M. So don't ever say, well, if you don't have the next guy lined up, don't do it. Do it. See what you can get.
It's clearly not working. So, and it's painful to watch.
I think now we transition to one who lost the weekend. Unless y'all have something I've missed. I don't think I miss anything, because I'm very, very smart, good looking.
Any thoughts on Bama and Arkansas? I was the way Bama looked, and the fact they only beat Arkansas by 3 points.
I mean, to me, Katie, that just Alabama just keeps proving that they are better than most teams in the country, but just not where Alabama's used to being, right? Like, they're good enough to beat Arkansas. They're good enough to probably go 11-1 in the SEC, maybe 10-2. They're good enough to be really fucking good, but they're still just a notch below where they're supposed to be, where they've been being. And maybe it's good enough. Maybe living down here with the normies is going to pay off for Alabama. I don't know. But when they sleepwalk against Arkansas and Arkansas comes back, it doesn't really register to me, because I just think it confirms this is an Alabama team that has a lot of great pieces, but they don't have the top line quarterback. They don't have the top line running back. They don't have the top line receivers. They're just an average great team.
No, fair. I'm just curious of your thoughts from the game.
Well, that was them. That was them. All right. Casey Smith. Who won the weekend?
Michael Penix obviously is going to be on, I think, everybody's list, but we talked about him a lot the last couple of weeks. We talked about this game, Michael Penix versus Bo Nix. The fact that through 5 games before today, he already had over 2,000 yards. I think he's absolutely the Heisman favorite. And, not that he had anything to do with the way Caleb Williams played, but Caleb Williams having the absolutely abysmal game that he did. Michael Penix is the Heisman Trophy leader right now, and he should be. The way that he played today, it truly encapsulates how good he is at Washington. It doesn't make sense that it didn't work out at Indiana, but that guy bawled his ass off. He was crying after the game, talking about his family and thanking God. He is college football, and I love to see it.
Jack, who won the weekend?
I'll go with who I mentioned earlier, Mike Gundy. Huge win. Really said, hey, guys, I'm your coach. And if you don't like it, that's too bad.
Katie, who won the weekend?
You're on mute.
Katie.
Yourself.
Sorry.
Do it, Katie.
I'm doing merch. I think it's Tez Walker. He had a little bit of shine, but now I think it's the NCAA. The NCAA is also the loser of it, but he's so good. And the camera's looking at his family, how long they've been waiting to see him, and they're doing so well. And it was cute, they're on all the phone calls. It was look how he's doing. Tez Walker won the week. That man is phenomenal. Brandon Walker, who won the week?
I'm going to go a little bigger picture and say the University of Washington. Last year, one of the most indelible images to me was when Tennessee finally beat Alabama, and you had the shots of the rushed field, and from above you saw all the people on the field. You saw the beautiful sunset. Well, today, Washington played in its biggest game in a decade at home. Stadium looked incredible. It was full. You had the sailgating. All of the imagery was incredible. You had Michael Penix at the end crying. You had the big win. You beat one of your rivals, and you had that beautiful shot at the end where it looked up from the above the stadium, and you saw all those Washington fans on the field. They got to rush the field. Those moments as a college football fan come along so rarely. So, when's the last time everything was there for your team and you rushed the field and you were on top of the world in college football for that day? For the Alabamas and Georgia, Ohio States, it comes along a lot and they take it for granted. But for the Washingtons and for hell, I'm going to use myself as an example. That came along for me 9 years ago in 2014. For teams like that spread throughout this country, like Tennessee now, it only comes around every so often, and it came around for Washington today, and they're on top of the world tonight. Will they end up on top of the world at the end of the season? I almost think that's irrelevant because these moments are what we're chasing in this sport, so good for Washington.
And not only that, everything that you just mentioned on top of it, they were playing Purple Rain in the stadium. That is incredible. When you look back at this season, that is going to be an image that people will never forget, regardless of what happens. But Purple Rain with that scene inside the stadium was unbelievable.
Yeah. Casey Smith, who lost the weekend?
It would be the USC Trojans, Brandon Walker. Everybody's been talking about them and, are they real? Are they frauds? What does Alex Grinch have on Lincoln Riley? Every single question. The fact that they not only lost that game against a rival, they got their asses absolutely kicked. Caleb Williams looked terrible. The whole thing was just really exposing USC for where they were. Now, do I think they're going to be that bad for the rest of the season? No. But it absolutely exposed the people, in a hand up. I thought that they could potentially win the Pac-12. It was just horrible for them. Disgusting. And I don't know what it's going to take for Lincoln Riley to put an entire team together to compete. But, it was bad. It was very, very bad loss for USC, and I think they're going to be hurting for a long time.
Jack, who lost the weekend?
Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes. This was a team that had a lot of hype coming into last week. We were really, really excited for them. It seems like they were turning a corner. And then an unfortunate fumble that really wasn't a fumble, but shouldn't have really even been in that position happens. You lose to Georgia Tech in one of the worst losses I've ever seen. And then you come back, you have a chance to kind of rebound and say, hey, all right, we had this tough loss, but we're better than UNC. We're going to go into their place and beat them. But they weren't. And they got outclassed by UNC on both sides of the ball. And Mario Cristobal is a tough loss. I'm not saying that this is 1,000% what the rest of his tenure at Miami is going to be, but this was not a good performance. And I expected better, especially from the defense.
All right, Katie Stats, who lost the weekend?
Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes.
You took his answer, Katie.
I think I should let Brandon you talk, and I'll add anything else on top of that.
Go ahead.
This was the first time.
The reason I called on you is I knew you were not going to say Deion.
Whoops.
Go ahead.
Because you were too much in sync. You should have known this. Technically, that's on you. This was the first time that I looked at something not that Colorado did, not as first year has to get his guys in there. The loss to Stanford, there's no excuse. That's not a first year head coach. That's not his players. Like, if you were up by 29 points to Stanford, there is no excuse, no reasoning. It's the first time that I, not to say fully questioned Deion, but I was like that was a bad coaching loss. That just made me be like, oh, Deion, he has some things to work on internally with himself. Brandon Walker, who lost the week?
The team that blew a 29-0 lead at halftime against one of the worst teams in the country. Stanford is bad. They're terrible. They're in the first year of a coach, a total rebuild, and they didn't do it with the transfer portal. Like, this is going to take them a while. Yet they look like the 85 Bears in the second half against Colorado. I don't know if Colorado got too cocky at halftime. I don't know if they had players putting messages on Instagram trying to sell things at halftime. But they look like a team who had put this in the bank and were finished, and we're moving on to next week and looking over the guest list to see who was going to be standing on the sidelines, whether it be Cedric the Entertainer or whatever. But at the end of the day, nobody told Stanford about that. Stanford thought it was still a fight, and they kept fighting, and Colorado didn't. So if you're going to be the belle of the ball and you're going to get all this attention and you're going to have ESPN and Fox and everybody just sucking your dick at all times, you got to come out and act like you want to play and you want to win. And Colorado, for whatever reason, didn't. And I'm not even pointing at the coaching staff. I'm saying those players, I'm saying everything about Colorado kind of phoned it in the second half. And if you're going to be a champion in college football, you can't phone in second halves. You can't lose 29-0 leads, and you can't ever lose to Stanford. Those are the three rules. All right.
Terrible loss. No. I'm not going to even try to argue.
Casey, your shit list, please.
I'm just going to run back what I already said about Jimbo. Once again, proving I'm not apathetic. I do not understand what it is going to take, but this man is so comfortable with having guaranteed money that I am convinced now he just doesn't care to win. And I know that that's crazy, but that's the way that it feels. Watching this team with all the talent they have, with everything in place, and it's like he just doesn't give a shit. And I feel like it's pretty obvious. Like, people are now that are like nice people are finally coming around on this. It's like this man is so damn comfortable. And I don't know what it's going to take to change other than getting him out, but that's my shit list. If you are so comfortable that you just are like embarrassing yourself on national TV week in and week out because you know you have millions of dollars, like, you're squarely on my shit list.
Jack, your shit list?
Michigan State. Guys, I mean, I said my hate was over. I said the 2-season-long fight that we had was over. Tuck came and didn't conquer much, and he's now gone. And we were brothers in arms. And today you had the spectacular chance to do something that I would have thanked you for years to come. And you blew it in disgusting fashion. Michigan State, shit list. Just, man, guys, we were so close, and you just stabbed me in the heart once again. But guess what? I got back up, and I'm not finished
Can't,
yet.
can't keep a good man down in Cocktober.
No,
Never.
Here's the thing. We coming. You better get me now.
Jack.
Katie, your shit list, please.
I don't really have a shit list this week.
Oh, Miss, I'm happy because we're 6-0.
No, okay, well, I thought about doing the NCAA shit list. I mean, that's always a given. But it's not like it would be more of a shit list if he lost a game and it's like Tez Walker could have won it. Like I'm not trying to do a bit. I'm genuinely like I can't. Like the NCAA is a piece of shit, so they'll be the default. But I have nothing unique for this week.
All right.
Let her have a nice moment. We don't get them often on this podcast.
Okay.
Brandon, your shit
I'll
list?
be honest.
Huh.
We've really been on Dion. Boise State led 30-10 with 4 minutes to go, and they lost a football game. You know how insane that is?
It's pretty bad.
Very
Pretty
bad.
Pretty bad.
But Jack, you said this in your TikTok, which is true. It's like these things happen. Like
Yeah.
these things happen in games, but because of the way that Colorado has presented itself is why everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But like these things do happen. It's not like Colorado's the only team to
No, yeah.
finish.
Well, it didn't happen in their school's history or Stanford school history. So
Right. But these things do happen.
Yeah, there are tough things these things do happen.
These things do happen, especially in Cocktober. Brandon Walker, what's your shit list?
Again, I hate to go back to what I said earlier, but in Cocktober, all rules go out the window.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina fans put me on a theater marquee, and I always thought it was photoshopped. It might have been real. I don't know.
No, that was 100% real. 100%.
They put on the marquee, Brandon Walker don't know ball, because I said, hey, guys, Shane Beamer might not be it. Your schedule's tough, and you're never going to have a winning season this year. And here we are, October 15th, the heart of Cocktober, and you guys gave up 400 yards to Graham motherfucking Mertz. You lost to Billy motherfucking Napier. Shane Beamer sold you a bill of goods. You got Spencer Rattler. You got a bad defense, and you thought, oh, yeah, we're going to be great. We beat Clemson last year. We beat Tennessee. Look at us. No. Listen to me. I'm a YKB boy, all right? I know ball. Idiots. South Carolina fans are on my shit list. That's what I'm trying to say.
But remember this, Brandon, when you start getting angry at South Carolina fans, remember that they gave us the great phrase of Cocktober.
Here's the thing. South Carolina fans don't give a fuck. They're used to losing like this, and they're still around. They're like they're used to the mud.
You think they're first Cocktober, baby.
Like this is the Bane Batman scene. It's like, you think like the dark. Like I was they were born in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just punch us. They'll just keep coming. They don't care.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end right there. I think we hit everything. So.
And thank you to everybody who waited a little bit, because Brandon and I were coming back from Baton Rouge to Chicago, so we were a little bit later than normal. So we thank everybody for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And like
thanks.
the video.
Like the video.
It's over there.
Share with some friends. Thanks to everybody.
I'm going to go pass out and die. All right.
I'm going to pass it back to you. Wait, photo.
Well, I haven't. You want me to close the show?
Now you can.
That is unnecessary roughness.
Like the video.
We did not talk about Illinois kicking a field goal into the Kevin James mean. Best way to win a college football game ever. See you guys.